3, 2, 1. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Experience Podcast. And today on the episode, I have a pretty awesome guest. I got to spend the this past weekend with my TFW familia, and one of these incredible people is Mr. Rory Singer. And I'm going to let Rory tell you guys a little bit about himself. So welcome, Rory. Thank you for coming on to the Experience, and let everyone know a little bit about yourself.
No, appreciate you having me on, Amir, and it's definitely most excellent meeting you and the rest of the TFW familia this past weekend. So I guess the Reader's Digest version is, again, I'm Rory Singer, and I live in Athens, Georgia, where, along with my brother and my coach, for the most part, Adam, own SBG Athens, which is part of Straight Flash Gym International. Names like Conor McGregor, John Kavanaugh, Gunnar Nelson, probably be some of the bigger names that people would recognize from that organization. And also TFW Athens. And I'm sure your listeners know all about Training for Warriors and Martin Rudy and all those fine folks. But we, the Reader's Digest, that we started training martial arts together when I was 11. I'm 41 now, and throughout the years, trained in a lot of different martial arts, and we wrestled. I got to do a stint on The Ultimate Fighter. People might recognize one of my former students and still one of my dearest friends, Forrest Griffin, as being a TUF1 alum. He won a world championship. We get a lot of credit for that world championship. Brian Bowles, who went on to win a bantamweight world championship in the WEC before it merged, beating, at that time, Miguel Torres, who was on like a 17-fight win streak and was 37-1, and Brian was 6-0 at the time, knocked him out in 4 minutes.
Yeah, I remember watching that.
It was incredible. Punch heard around the world. And then I fought on season 3 of The Ultimate Fighter, got to fight in UFC for a little bit, which was pretty neat. And just over the years, we grew our martial arts gym into a 12,250 square foot facility. And I believe about 2 years ago, we took on, we went on as affiliate for Training for Warriors, and are slowly sort of building up our TFW component, our fitness component, with the pure fitness from Training for Warriors. And, throughout that time, there were some engineering degrees earned from the University of Georgia, met and married a beautiful woman. She and I are now raising 2 wonderful and beautiful children. And, just trying to continue to save lives with martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, wrestling, boxing, and all that good stuff. Create a couple fighters here and there, and Training for Warriors on the fitness side. And pretty excited about where we are in life and where the gym's at. And that brings us to 2017, me and you on this call right now.
Awesome. Yeah. So that's why I would, during the weekend we did get a little bit to talk about, some of your background, and that's why you are great to have on here, because, being in martial arts for 30 years, that takes a lot of commitment, and obviously growing a business into what your business is today as well, shows the kind of person that you are as far as commitment-wise. So my first question would be, if you were going to tell somebody starting in the martial arts, what would be 3 things you would tell them to focus on, and how those things maybe helped you along the way?
3 things to focus on martial arts. I guess probably the first and most important would sort of be what martial arts are you selecting. So although like I said, I've done a lot of martial arts, I don't do a lot of those martial arts because I find that the large majority of them are nonsense. They're taught in nonsensical ways. So I would tell someone, for their life and their longevity as a martial artist, to find a top-notch Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school. That would be my first advice. You can do it your entire life. You can train with men and women, young and old. you can actually do the thing you're training, which is say actually get in some sort of live rounds and and test your abilities where a lot of martial arts you can, especially as you get older. The last thing I want to do as a 50-year-old is put on boxing gloves with the 20-year-olds and box. So I can do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with 20-year-olds and 18 and 16-year-olds. I can train it with my kids, which is incredible. So that probably the first thing I would say. Second thing is probably, since I'm kind of coming to this from the hip, is don't have any expectations of how good you should be, and that's probably a good life lesson in general. Don't have any expectations about how good you should be, about the kind of success that you should have. Just stick with it. Start it, stay with it, and as my friend and coach Chris Howder says, he's a coach of mine, Matt Thornton, who's the founder of Straight Blast Gym, has been my coach for a long time as well. But one of the things that I remember Chris saying, and I read online actually, was it's not about sort of who's first, it's really who's last and who's left over. That out of 100 white belts that start Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there's going to be maybe 5 black belts that are created out of that class of people. So it's not about who's first, who's best. It's really about who's left standing, who put in the time and energy to get it done. So, no expectations probably leads me into, I don't want to say consistency because that doesn't get you to the end, but there's a word there and it's escaped me at the moment, but just the fortuitousness, that's not a real word, but
fortitude.
You know what I'm saying? The fortitude to stick with it, to get through the grind, the bumps and the bruises, maybe the injuries here and there, the ups and downs of I thought I was going to get my next belt, but I didn't, or I had a bad week on the mat, or whatever it may be. You got to accept the wins and the losses of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu so that you can make it to the end to be a black belt. And I think really as a black belt, almost 9 years next year, I'll get my 3rd degree. It's sticking with it and becoming a black belt that I've probably learned the most in those last 9 years that I probably learned in those first 11. And you realize the beauty of jiu-jitsu when you can be on the mat with just about anyone from a world champion to, I just did an Ironman, which is one of our traditions in SBG. I just did an Ironman with one of the 14-year-old girls that just got a new belt and went through her first Ironman yesterday. And I can train with her like I can train with anyone else.
I love jiu-jitsu for that aspect, that you can really learn a lot about yourself as far as what kind of person you are through the mats.
No doubt.
What would you say over the years would be the 3 things that would say have kept you focused on not just training, but, hey, being able to grow a family and grow a business? What are some things that helped you focus on, expanding all those areas of your life, would you say?
It's hard. I'll first state that I believe a lot of that, to be honest, happened organically. I imagine there's something in me, but I don't feel that there's anything that amazing in me because we just got done with the summit, and there's some men and women in TFW right now, since that's where we have our joint, family. And there are some men and women that are far more impressive than me in their ability to get things done, stay on track, and to stay on task, I guess so to say, and are crushing it with their businesses. So honestly, I believe a lot of that came organically because I don't really believe I put a lot of effort into that in the beginning. But I do know that at one point, when I realized we had just opened up a 7,200 square foot facility, took out a $50,000 equipment loan, got some angel investment, which was super helpful. But we opened up that facility in 2009 after having been in a 3,000 square foot facility. Before that, we were in a 1,500 square foot facility. Before that, we were in like a garage, which was 1,250 square feet, and we were going through walls, and it was like 110 degrees. We didn't have AC, and just created a great environment and a great tribe and a great what I guess we call Tribe, we call La Familia and TFW, but we created something awesome, and it grew, and we did our best to kind of figure out how to grow with it. And then when we moved into that big facility in 2009, and we were like, how the heck do we do this? And we found a business mentor, and we began to invest in ourselves and in our business. And I think that's a big thing that Coach Martin talks about with us reading books and listening to podcasts. And we really just started to begin to learn how to grow our business. And in those first few years, the growth was incredible. And then when things were breaking, in a sense, when things weren't working the way they needed to be, and we had a down year, although still a year we made money, but a down year in terms of where we were the previous year, we really, looked at how do we improve this, and how do we continue to give our students a positive experience and a great product. And so we're constantly tweaking our BJJ curriculum and our martial arts curriculums, and changing some of the ways in which the systems in the gym work. And that's what really led me to TFW. TFW is the fourth iteration of fitness, pure fitness. I obviously we know the martial arts give us fitness and help people lose weight, 100 pounds here, 50 pounds there. But as far as pure fitness, this was the fourth iteration because we created a great culture, because I've got one of the strongest cultures, I believe, in the world. I don't care what the business is. I pride myself on that. But the product we were offering just wasn't really getting the results that I felt my students deserved, and that's where TFW came in. So I think just continually trying to give your students the best takes care of that. And then time managing, which I don't do the greatest job of all the time, but time managing the rest of my life helps me have my family, spend some time with my kids. It helped me be a UFC fighter while I was running a gym, working on getting a degree or working a full-time job, getting my lifts in and all those things. Just learning how to sort of find time for everything that's important to you in your life, and then making the adjustments as you need to improve those things, lead you to at least where I am, which, again, maybe not the greatest in my organizations, making the most money, but every day that I fixed it just a little bit and fixed myself a little bit, the only thing that, it only gets better.
Yeah, I think what you mean, like when you say organic, how you're not, I think, what drew me to having you on is like I said, is your approach. I guess your mentality is that constant growth, and not trying to overdo it, and it's going to happen over time as long as you are looking to improve, and like you said, creating a culture around you that's going to breed success. And I think that's what maybe that's what probably has, in my opinion, from listening to what you said, I definitely think that the way you are as a person is what drew everyone to you, which is obviously
definitely, it is definitely a joint effort. My brother is a big part of that, but and I think together. So I think just because who Adam and I are together, and the fact that we are as close as any two people I know are, and we are who we are, I think has helped to surround us with great people. And then as you grow your business and grow your culture and grow your tribe or grow your familia, you start to realize that this is how you want it to be, and this is who you are, and this is who you want to be around you. And it attracts people, and then you realize that when it attracts the wrong people, that you don't need them. There was a point in time when you first start your business, you accept anyone because you're looking more at the dollar, you're looking more at being able to run that business and pay your own salary and keep the lights on and stuff. And over time, you realize that it's more important that maybe you take a little hit, although we've been fortunate enough to not take many of those, but you might take a little hit financially, but the overall good of having the people you want to have that are like-minded like you is going to grow your business to, as Luca loves to say, 5x, 10x, and I see that when I look at my friends' gyms like Travis Davidson in Montana and my coach Matt's gym, and even the gyms close to me in the area here in Duluth or Buford with Philippe and my friend who just got into the UFC, his fighter just got into UFC in Birmingham, Chris Connolly. You grow that tribe the way you want it to be, and you have patience along the way. And that's the thing that I think I'm always struggling with, is being patient. That I see some of these people with their 200 members and crushing it, and that's not just necessarily who I am. But if I have patience along the way and 1% every day, then I'll get there regardless. You just got to keep moving forward.
I definitely share a lot of those, that approach. What do you think, would you say, usually stops people from, maybe obtaining that goal, maybe whether the black belt or, hey, being in business? They say most businesses, 80% of businesses close down after 3 years, and another 80% of that every year after that. So being around as long as you have, what do you think, helped you get there? And maybe you've seen a lot of other gyms over time, whether mixed martial arts gyms or regular fitness gyms, going out of business around you.
This obviously, you would agree, it's not just one thing. So I think part of it is patience. And so I'll say patience. I'll say surrounding yourself with the right people. I guess more on a support staff. So my general manager Lucas happens to be one of my best friends in the world. He's basically my brother, and he puts forth a phenomenal effort as my general manager, and he is not afraid to also, he's not a yes man, so he's not afraid to tell me when he thinks I've done something wrong, and when I've misspoke, or when I've misspoke to a member or a parent or a student by not being the person that I should be and need to be. So that helps to have people like that around who are willing to sort of call you on your BS. It's important to be willing to change, and I find when I speak to people, whether other owners, I guess other business owners, but it's probably a problem that a lot of people have, but they're unwilling to accept that the thing that they're doing is failing. The way that they act is sort of, and then the way they act is failing their business, and they're unwilling to change. So, hey, this thing is not working. If everything a business owner was doing was working, they'd have a $1 million business. And I know in the martial arts world, there are very few $1 million martial arts gyms. And I'm sure that's not very different in the fitness industry, that there are very few $1 million gyms. Yeah, maybe the Globo gyms have that. But if you might be $1 million Globo gym, but are you bringing home $1 million? Or are you just sort of scraping by to pay all the salaries and pay all your expenses, and then, you're putting 80-hour weeks and you're taking home, a $30,000 salary? To me, you're failing. It's only within the last few years that I'm actually making a decent amount of money for the effort that I'm putting forward. And yeah, I'm sure there are others who are taking in more, but my ability to change over the years and invest, that's another failing of a lot of business owners. They make no investment in their education. So I'm a part of the business group within Training for Warriors. I've been a part of other business groups. I'm a part of the business group for Straight Flash Gym. And I have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in just probably the last 7 or 8 years. But that is also, with that investment, has come back, 5x, 10x in how my gym has grown. And a lot of business owners like, oh, this is how I do it. Hey, this is better. Nah, that's not it. That's why this will fail. Because of this, and this. And So, and then, like you said, 80% of those businesses go away, and then after 3 years, another 80% of those businesses go away. And here we are left standing with successful businesses because we've surrounded ourselves with the right people. We're willing to say we don't know. We're willing to invest in ourselves and our businesses instead of looking, there's $5,000 here, and I can put that $5,000 in my pocket, or I can, put $4,000 or more of that back into my business to grow it and take a little bit less in my pocket. But that's going to, in the future, I'm going to be able to keep that $5,000 because I'm going to have $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000.
Nice. I mean, that's a great approach to, to soak in for anybody that really wants to understand longevity is going to take patience, and again, like you said, surrounding yourself with the right people, and again, not being afraid to take feedback to help yourself improve. Amir,
yeah. Before you answer the next one,
yes.
The other thing, something my brother talks about, when we go talk to the military, because we work with a nonprofit called American Dream U that helps military personnel transition into civilian life. And when we go and talk to them, one of the things my brother we bring up as part of our talk is, you just got to show up, and then you got to do something, and then hopefully it's something positive. So I could show up to work, get on Facebook all day, and I showed up and I did something, but certainly isn't positive. And listen, there are some days when I do that and I just waste away an entire day. But as I get better at what I do, there's less and less of that. So when I show up and I do something, it's positive. So that's, and then that brings you back to all those, surrounding yourself with the right people, investing in yourself and whatnot, because you got to just, for 20 years, the first, when I didn't really know what I was doing, I showed up and it just kind of happened magically almost sometimes. I wasn't making a lot of money for the first many years of owning a gym and running a gym. I wasn't really, it was more like, part-time. Now that it's full-time and has been for a while, showing up and doing something positive, that goes a long way. It's success over time. And then you add the other little pieces in, like the investing, the willing to say you don't know, and the willing to change and stuff. And then over time, you have something successful.
Yeah, I mean, I think it almost like your journey on the jiu-jitsu mats kind of translates into the business side, where, when like you said before, having certain expectations of how your skill should be is almost like having certain expectations of where your business should be. But, understanding going, and this is what, like, kind of almost doesn't take away the question, but hey, like, that's kind of what you would say maybe transfers over, right? Like, your similar journey, starting on the mat, it happened organically where you just stayed consistent. And then, like you said, over the last really 7 years, right, is when that your jiu-jitsu, I guess, has opened itself.
Yeah, I got a black belt in 2009 from Roberto Traven. I'm not associated with Roberto Traven anymore, but it was a very amicable and friendly departure, part of Straight Flash Gym, and so Coach Matt Thornton gave me my last stripe. He'll give me my next one, so that's my tribe as far as my martial arts. And so some of those people have been friends of mine for 10 plus years, and again, I consider them brothers and sisters. So that's so not a part of that. But when Professor Traven gave my brother and I our black belts, we had fighters in the UFC. We were doing all this stuff. We created some really great grapplers and stuff, but it was all no gi. So in 2009. I was still doing mostly no gi, and at some point in time, we started to put the gi on. And I'd say I've probably been wearing the gi religiously now for maybe 5 or 6 years. But I remember one of the first times I put the gi on in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I went to headquarters in Atlanta and trained with Trav and some of his students, having really not worn the gi for very long. And I'm a black belt, so I'm wearing a black belt. I got on the mat. I got submitted by a 16-year-old blue belt. And I just got handled that day that I went there. Handled, submitted by other black belts and brown belts and blue. I had some positive stuff because I still had really good jiu-jitsu, but I'm wearing this game that I'm just really not used to wearing. I don't quite understand, but I want to. And I want to understand it. Not like I'm not on my business. I want to understand how my business is supposed to run. So just like that on the mat, I want to know how this thing works, and I want to really own it. I want to own this black belt in the gi. And I had options that day. Never go back to there and just continue to train in my gym with students that are good and getting better, but I'm not going to get the same work I'm getting there because they've been is all the time that I've been doing no gi. They've been primarily doing gi.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back the next week, and I went back the next week, and over a period of time, I went here and trained, and I just continued to put forth as much effort as I could to learn how to really own this thing, this black belt. And now I go back and train with those same people, or I can train with other people who've had all those years in the gi, and then all that no gi now translated into gi work. Now I own that black belt. Now I'm a third-degree black belt. There are always going to be people better than me, just like there are always people better than you in business.
Mm-hmm.
They work a little harder. They put in some more time. They've got some more hours on the mat. They've got more hours in the office, whatever it may be, reading, listening, improving. But you have that choice. You could either, one of the things we say to the military guys and girls that we work with, can you get punched in the face and then work through it? It's the same thing in a fight. It's the same thing in jiu-jitsu. You get taken down, maybe your guard gets passed. Do you give up, or do you understand that we still have some time left in the round, in the match? That can you shake that off and get back on track, trying to score, trying to submit? So those life lessons you learn in jiu-jitsu are the same ones that I guess I put forth in my business. And sometimes I get down, and sometimes I get up, and what do I choose to do? Do I choose to continue to be on the up and succeed, or do I wallow in self-pity because something bad happened on the mat and start to shut down? And then that's why you get what's known as the blue belt blues. You get that blue belt, you think you should be better than you're supposed to be, and then you're getting your butt smashed because now you got that blue belt on that little bit of a target. What do you choose to do? Do you choose to continue to try and be better, or do you just wallow in self-pity?
I love that. I mean, that's, look, being now, I've been back on the mats for 2.5 years. I have that, I don't want to say the blue belt blues because I definitely not a quitter, but, you definitely sometimes you feel like, you see yourself competing against guys that maybe have a higher rank, and you're like, oh, why am I not getting that? Or same thing in business. You feel like you're doing what other people are doing, and you're like, oh, how come I'm not as successful as that? So I could definitely see how that does translate. And, again, going back to what you were saying is, you were humble about it, and you went and took your beatings, and now you're back to, like you said, you earned your black belt, and you're a true black belt. You don't have to wear it with worry.
Exactly.
Yeah. What would you say your 3 greatest achievements would be, either on the mats or just in general in life, business, that you could share with some of the people here?
I would say my greatest achievements on the martial arts side of things, probably as a coach, being involved in creating 2 world champions, Forrest Griffin, Brian Bowles. Like I said, when Brian beat Miguel Torres, I believe it should still probably be on one of his lists. Not on my list because I knew he was going to win, but probably goes on a list of one of the biggest upsets in UFC, WC history.
Absolutely.
Forrest winning TUF 1 and which kind of helped put MMA on the map again, UFC on the map for sure. Dana said that over and over again. And, my own fighting in the UFC, which I never had it as a goal to be a world champion, and then that's part probably because of who I am. and maybe that's why I didn't achieve as much greatness in the sport as I could have. But I fought 4 times in UFC. I went 2-2. I finished my pro career at 12-9. Nothing, not spectacular, but I fought on 4 continents. So as a fighter, it's probably that. And as a coach, as a person, greatest accomplishment is marrying my wife and having 2 beautiful children. I've got a soon-to-be 3-year-old girl, Finley. She'll turn 3 August 6th. And my son, Alexander, we call him Xander. And it's not just because I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, although my wife likes to tell everybody that. But Xander turns 6 at the end of September. They are certainly 2 of my greatest accomplishments, and trying to be a good dad and a good role model for them is something I strive to do every day. And then as a business owner, I would say just, where we are now. I mean, my accomplishment, every year I believe it's I've newly accomplished something fantastic. Because the gym is always growing, always getting better, always getting bigger. The culture and tribe is getting stronger. I mean, and then probably that is probably the thing I am most proud of. That's the thing that has helped us to go speak with American Dream U. That's the thing that got us speaking engagements with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And that's the thing that people who create as a job try and help build cultures and tribes within businesses, Fortune 500 businesses. Hearing those people tell me that what we've created at SBG Athens is one of the most impressive cultures that they have seen. That's probably the thing I'm most proud of, because when I walk in SBG Athens, when I walk over and look at what TFW Athens is doing, when I get responses from students about how much the gym has helped them grow, even in just a few weeks' time, and when I see the stories, not unlike the stories we heard this weekend from the Students of the Year at the summit, at the TFW Summit, when I hear those stories come in from my students where, someone lost 100 pounds, and that's incredible. And this person's put down the bottle and has become a better father and business owner and has lost 50, 60 pounds. When I see those stories and know that it's because of the culture of support and the tribe that we've created, that far exceeds any money I can make. It's just as important to me as any world championship we've created, because I'm saving lives. It's the thing Martin talks about, trying to get, save 1 million lives.
Absolutely.
I'm doing that every day, and then I'm doing it with the kids, which I love more than anything, sharing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with my 3-year-old daughter, with other people's kids, and the confidence that builds. And I know that confidence is realer or more real than any other martial art, or just about, I don't like to speak in absolutes, but most any other martial art that children can take in my town. That's just mostly nonsense, and they're breaking boards and learning katas and ippons, and they're lining up in lines, and they're never doing the thing that they're gaining the confidence doing, because they never even put hands on each other at all in a competitive environment. My kids, I know that the confidence they're gaining, that when push comes to shove and the poop hits the fan, my kids really know how to defend themselves, and they have, and they've done it in a non-violent way with just control in the clinch or in wrestling and superior technical jiu-jitsu. And it's allowed the girls in my gym to be boys. It's allowed the boys in my gym who came in with their eyes down to lift their head up and shake my hand like a man and go out and compete and win gold medals, and to train on the same mat as adult men and beat them in competition. No other martial art in the world allows a 15-year-old to beat a 30-year-old in competition. No other martial art in the world, other than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, allows a 40-year-old man to compete with a 20-year-old with a 20-year-old. Like, it just doesn't happen. And the power of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu feeds all of that for men, for women, for children. And the culture and the tribe that it facilitates, because of that shared experience, just like we get with training for warriors, with the waddles, and the lifting each other up, and trying to be the best version of ourselves. You know, it's why SBG and TFW work so well together. You know, that's probably the thing I'm most proud of. Yeah, I have a nice life financially, but that's come with 20 years of blood, sweat, and tears. But knowing what we've created as a tribe and a culture in that gym is certainly the thing that I'm most proud of, because it's the thing that has driven all of that over the years.
Yeah, it's definitely rewarding to be able to impact so many lives and, you know, see all these people create confidence in themselves. Like we say, bring out the warrior within. Who would you say are 3 people that helped influence you along the way in general?
Yeah, that's a tough one. 3 people. I would say first and foremost, it would be my brother Adam Singer, who's been my coach, my training partner, the person who started teaching me some of the things he knew, and got us. You know, that's how this whole journey. Without us doing that little bit of training we did in the basement of our home in Marlboro, New Jersey, when I was 11, then this doesn't happen. Without sort of that original. I remember, he'll say, because I don't have a really great memory, but we used to talk about owning a gym. We used to lift in a place called Powerhouse, and that's where we did some of our karate. And there was a karate studio up front and a weight room in the back, like a nice one. Like Rich Gaspari, who was a former Mr. Olympia, used to work out in our weight room, and I used to see him lifting weights with all his muscles back in the day. So this journey doesn't happen without he and I being who we are and the relationship we have. So that's first and foremost. Matt Thornton, who has been a coach for years, a friend, a mentor, and I consider to be one of the greatest martial arts coaches, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coaches on the planet. And then there's a lot of others within the organization, but you know, that's sort of where we started when we were getting tired of the nonsense we were doing and the failed training that we were doing. Like, what is going on here? Like, this is not the way it's supposed to be. And then we found Matt, and you know, it changed everything. Those methodologies that we use, the methodologies that we use today in our training, are ones that we learned from him. And over the years, they've only gotten better, and others have added to that. So it took on a life of its own. But when you surround yourself with the right people who are asking the right questions, because they're searching for the truth always in all things, then you get what we get with Straight Flash Gym. You get Conor McGregor's, and you get Forrest Griffins and Brian Bowles and all that stuff. So Matt, for sure. And then I'd probably have to say my wife April and my mom Marcia, being just 2 incredibly strong women who, you know, my mom basically raised my brother and I as a single mom for many, many years, and drove an hour and a half to 2 hours each day, each way, to have us be able to live in Marlboro, New Jersey, which back, you know, always only become, you know, we don't live there anymore. She hasn't lived there for years, but now it's like one of these incredible suburbs of New York City.
Marlboro's a nice town.
Yeah, like, you know, we grew up in it when it was just sort of getting there, but there was still a lot of money there, and it wasn't ours, but it's only grown to be this, you know, just incredible place. Like, you've heard of it. And she sacrificed a lot to make sure that we could live in a nice place and go to good schools and get a good education. And, you know, we moved out of Staten Island, New Jersey, where we were going to go to some of those city schools, which, you know, she wasn't going to have. So her, and then my wife April, who I met right before I went on TUF3. So I've been with her since I met her in 2005. Been with her, 2005? Yeah, 2005. Been with her all these years, and you know, the sacrifice she's made to especially within the last 6 years, raise Xander and Finley sometimes on her own, and that's something I'm always trying to work to better, so that I'm around more and stuff. But her sacrificing going to work, coming home so that I can be at the gym, our hours don't really mesh very well. Most of my stuff I do in the evenings, my training and stuff, so I continue to be on the mats. So without my mom, without April being the supportive people that they are and allowing me to pursue this dream. My mom always supported my fighting as much as she hated it, maybe watched it through her fingertips. She supported my fighting and supported the gym. And without those two people, and then, you know, as an honorable mention, because SBG doesn't exist the way it does without my general manager, my best friend Lucas, who I mentioned earlier. The gym doesn't exist. He quit his job, doing well, he was a sales rep for, I think it was R.J. Reynolds, and he hated it. And he came back to Athens, and he lived with me for a little bit. We started to build the gym together. He just built a beautiful home in Athens, because he eventually realized that if he gave all of himself to the pursuit of this thing we're trying to build, that he would feel better about himself, and he has. And he's an incredible kids coach, and he's an incredible jiu-jitsu coach, and he's a great general manager. And like I said, the gym doesn't survive and exist without the efforts he has put forth. So I know you asked for 3, and I might have given you 4 or 5.
That's okay.
But really, who we are as a gym, with our training, who I am as a man, without my brother, I don't think happens, being the role model and father figure he was growing up in a single-family household, and then and Lucas, and then who I am, and what I've learned about sacrifice and about giving your all to your children and stuff doesn't happen without my mom or without April. So yeah, there are other people along the way. SBG doesn't happen without Forrest Griffin. Doesn't happen without him putting MMA on the map, and it doesn't happen without his help as an angel investor. So there are a lot of people. You know, you look back at how you got where you got, and the connections you make, and the people you meet, and the relationships that you foster, and you realize that there are a lot of people who are part of that, but there are really a handful of people who, without them, things just don't end up where they are right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you know, I say 3, but to have 5, you know, that means that you have a strong support unit, and that's obviously very important to have success.
You know, it's important to be able to accept help.
Yeah.
You know, if I don't go to Forrest 2009, and if I don't go to Forrest and say, listen, brother, I don't know what you can do or want to do or willing to do, but, you know, can you help us with this? And I went to a couple other people who were angel investors, and can you help me with this? And then when you find your first business mentor, you know, because you realize you need help, when you take on some of the personnel you take on at your gym, and try and give them more and more because you know you need help. When I asked my wife to be the woman she is and married her, because I saw those qualities in her, because you need help, because I can't do what I'm doing if I'm raising them, you know, more than I am now.
Behind every great man is a great woman, as they say, right?
Without a doubt. And behind every great man is great people helping. Yeah. You know, behind every great woman is people helping them to be that. Because you definitely don't do that on your own. And that's, you know, we talked about that earlier. If you think you're going to be successful on your own and you know everything and you're unwilling to change and accept advice from people, then you're going to be one of those. You're in trouble, without a doubt.
Yeah. Awesome. So Rory, what are some current things you got lined up? We spoke a little bit about, you got a competition coming up, and then where can people follow you or keep up with what you're doing?
Well, for me personally, I'm competing in the Masters Worlds in Vegas. It's August 24th through the 26th. I'll be competing that Friday, August 25th, and then taking a much-needed 4-day vacation with April in Vegas. Just eat some food, gain some weight, see some sights, be like my 20th trip to Vegas, and I've never even been to the Grand Canyon or the Hoover Dam, so we're doing that finally. So that's me personally. We've got a 28-day challenge coming up for TFW next month, so I'll be working on that, fighting here and there. Some other things, we've got a Bully Buster boot camp coming up, I believe next month or in September maybe. But if people want to find us, they can find us at Athens Fitness and MMA. That's the word MMA. So Athens Fitness, ANDMMA.com. You can search for SBG Athens, TFW Athens. You can call the gym at 706-850-8444. I mean, if you're in Athens or if anywhere inside look for Athens and MMA, Athens and Fitness, Athens and BJJ. Done a pretty good job of owning most of Google's front pages on those search words. Or just give us a call, like I said. And we've got great kids program, our Growing Gorillas. We start them as young as 3. Incredible martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, mixed martial arts, and then the most fantastic and incredible group fitness program with training for warriors. It's all under one roof. I mean, there's no other place, in my opinion, in the world where you're going to find a group, the most incredible group of people doing the most incredible martial arts or the most incredible group fitness than it's Straight Flash Gym Athens. And just if you want to find us, it's really pretty simple to find us.
Awesome, man. I'd love to make it out there sometime. So
please come visit.
Yeah, absolutely. Rory, can't thank you enough for your time today. I know that everyone that was listening to this is going to get a ton of great information that hopefully they'll start to apply into their life. So guys, another episode in the books, another great guest, a lot of great information, and stay tuned next week. We've got more coming for you.